Hello, buddy. Alrighty then. So, welcome to the Mikestand. Um, Today is of course Thursday, July 3rd. So, of course, this is the day before Independence Day here in the states. For those of celebrate our country's independence, or basically our country's birthday or somewhere. That'll be tomorrow, of course. Um, Again, a friendly reminder to everybody, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, with that being said, of course, I'm going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Saw, of course, Popeye as a bullfighter today among the cartoons I watched. Also saw All's Fair at the Fair from another Fleischer cartoon from their Color Classics lineup. Basically about kind of a simple couple going to the World's Fair and being exposed to a whole bunch of future gadgets. Um, oh, anyways, I know in a lot of cities out there will be doing fireworks tonight, including where I live here in the city I live in. But as always, be if you do, whether it's tonight or tomorrow night, be safe with if you're going to light off fireworks, just remember to be safe with them. Anyways, so let's see now. So we're just past. Oh, okay. We're already up to 2.5 minutes here. So probably getting to what's on tap for tonight here in a moment. All right. So with that being said, okay. So anyways, so tonight we're gonna go. We got another article from Chris Braley from Bleeding Fool, going over some of the latest projects that are coming out. Indie Comic Showcase. So we'll go ahead and, of course, I'll go ahead and be talking about that, sharing, going through that article, sharing some links. Then, of course, we'll be doing the wrestling wrap up, getting caught up on, of course, last night's AW Dynamite, looking ahead to tonight's Impact and Ring of Honor shows, and also basically just getting caught up on all latest in the world of professional wrestling. As there's been some talk on a few things, and then of course we'll finish things off with this day in each history. So, with all that being said, now let me see here. Hmm. All right, so I'm gonna go off camera here for a quick moment to take care of something real quick, but I'll be back. All right, I'm back now. So let's see. Hopefully everything will start to pick up there. Yep. All right. Okay, so, anyways, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started onto the material at hand. Alrighty then, so here we go with that. So let's get to the. So, Indie Comic Showcase number 304, Phantom Hawk Resolute, Crocodile, and the five footers. Article by Chris Braley, published yesterday, July 2nd, 2025. All right, so let's take a look at this. Welcome back to another installment of Indie Comic Showcase, the weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just completely self publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle. And of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. On Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the product for yourself. And we, of course, we do go over the articles as well ourselves, and try to get the word out through our channel as well. So, through my channel as well. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out, for being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. Let's do that. So, the first one we're going to be looking at is Phantom Hawk Resolute by Nick Garber. So let's go grab the link. Let's see where you can find this one. Let me go find the link for that. It's a Fund My Comic project. You just copy that. All right, so Phantom Hawk Resolute by Nick Garber. All right, so there's the link for you guys if you want to go check that out. Leave it up for a moment so you guys can take a look at that. Fund My Comic project. So, all right, so let's get into the interview now. All right, Phantom Hawk Resolute by Nick Garber. Chris Braley. Nick, for readers just discovering Phantom Hawk, how would you sum up the heart of your story and what sets it apart from other indie comics? Nick Garber. Phantom Hawk's recent arrival in the dark city of Crestview finds him steeped deep in its underworld. It is there that he will have to fight through the criminal element and corporate espionage to find what he seeks, secrets of his past and a cure that may forever elude him. Two steps behind him are two cops investigating a murder that points at Phantom Hawk. A step ahead of him is a rival from his past who wants nothing more than to spill Phantom Hawk's blood for recompense. Chris, You mentioned you created Phantom Hawk in this and his world, but collaborated on the story. What inspired you to build Crestview and this character, and why did you choose the indie route um, to bring them to life? Nick? While I didn't write the story for Phantom Hawk Resolute, I created the character and the world he inhabits. Phantom Hawk was born from my love of grounded, conflicted heroes, those shaped by trauma, navigating a morally gray world. The city of Crestview, where the story takes place, is a brutal and corrupt place I've been developing for years. So basically, this sounds like this is Nick's version of Gotham City from DC. It's a reflection of Phantom Hawk's inner battles as much as it is the setting. The story itself was written by Matthew Jasso, who brought fresh depth and perspective to the character while staying true to the core of what makes Phantom Hawk who he is. I chose to self-publish so I could maintain creative control over the universe and work with collaborators like Matthew to build something meaningful from the ground up. It's about keeping the vision pure and getting it directly into the hands of the fans who appreciate what we're building. Oh yeah, he even has Phantom Hawk there. If that is who that is, that you got a lot. You do have a lot. You do have quite a bit of Batman influence in this comic. That much is pretty evident there. Anyways, continuing on. Chris, who do you see connecting most with Phantom Hawk Resolute? What kind of readers did you have in mind when shaping the story? Nick, Phantom Hawk Resolute is perfect for readers who love gritty street level heroes and grounded storytelling. If you're into books like The Punisher, Daredevil, or Batman Year One, see, I told you, Batman, this will be right up your alley. It's a mix of crime noir, psychological drama, and urban action, with a focus on redemption, inner conflict, and survival. We're aiming this series at mature readers, teens, and adults who appreciate complex characters, realistic stakes, and morally gray decisions. It's not just about action, in parentheses, though there's plenty of that, parentheses. It's about the cost of violence, the scars of war, and what it means to stand for something in a world that's falling apart. Chris Braley, or Chris, even though you weren't the artist for this book, you clearly had a vision for its look and feel. Can you talk about how you worked with Bruno Tyler to bring Crestview and Phantom Hawk to life visually? And then Nick here's response. While I didn't handle the art of fantasy, so he didn't write the story. He didn't draw it. All he did was just came up with a core concept. Okay, that's interesting. While I didn't handle the art on Phantom Hawk Resolute, that credit goes to Bruno Tyler. I'm incredibly proud of the visual tone he brought to the series. Bruno's gritty, textured style fits the world of Crestview perfectly. His use of shadows, dynamic compositions, and emotional detail really elevated the story, um, and captured um, the raw street level energy Phantom Hawk um, was built around. As the creator of the character and the world, my process was focused on building a foundation that felt authentic and layered. I worked closely with the creative team to ensure the tone, pacing, and atmosphere aligned with the vision I had when I first conceived Phantom Hawk and the city he fights to survive in. Bruno brought that vision to life in a way that feels both grounded and cinematic. Fans of noir inspired, hard edged comics are going to love what he's done here. Chris, you've mentioned a few key collaborators already. Who else is part of your creative team and what do they each bring to the table? Nick, Matthew Jasso is the writer. Matthew has worked on several books within Grok Comics and their world. Bruno Tyler is my artist, adds a gritty style to this work. Our colorist is Michael Woods, and he's worked on several independent comic books over the years. His colors and depth, tone, and atmosphere to the pages um, he works on. Chris, how's the production coming along? Can you give us a peek behind the curtain at your workflow and how close you are to the finish line? Nick, the art is complete for issue number 1. Colors are 25% done as well as the letters. Chris, what's been the biggest eye opener for you as you've navigated self-publishing and crowdfunding? Any lessons or surprises along the way? Let's see. Nick. Nick. Self-publishing and crowdfunding have taught me a lot about the business side of comics, but also about building a community. Creating the world of Phantom Hawk is one thing, but getting it into readers' hands is a whole different challenge. You have to wear every hat: creator, marketer, customer service, logistics, all of it. One of the biggest lessons is how important consistency communications are. You can have the best looking book in the world, but if you're not keeping your audience informed and engaged, you'll lose momentum. I've also learned the value of collaboration, trusting your team, leaning on their strengths, and creating space for their voices to shape the project. It's not easy. There's tons of pressure. There's a ton of pressure, but the freedom to tell the story your way on your own terms makes it all worth it. And nothing beats the support from people who believe in your vision enough to back it. Chris, looking ahead, what's next for Phantom Hawk in the Apogee universe? Um, is this just the beginning? Nick, this book is issue 1 of 4. We plan to continue this series to fruition as well as expand the Apogee universe and more characters and and exciting and impactful storylines. With more. Um, for let's see, Chris, for fans considering backing the project, are there any unique perks or features you want to highlight? Nick, many tiers offer something for everyone to include t-shirts, unit patches, pins, as well as being drawn as a background character in the next issue. Chris, before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to say to readers who might be thinking about checking out Phantom Hawk Resolute? Just a big thank you to everyone who's taken the time to check out Phantom Hawk Resolute. Whether you're a longtime indie comic supporter or just discovering this world, your interest means everything. The project has been a labor of love, and it wouldn't exist without people like you who believe in independent storytelling. If you're into gritty heroes, morally complex stories, and grounded world building, I think you'll find something here that sticks with you. And this is just the beginning. Here's a lot more to come. The world of Crestview and and the Phantom Hawk universe. Thanks for the support and stay resolute. Chris, wishing you all the best, Nick. All right. So before we get into the next one here, I do need to step away from the computer for a moment. I'll be right back. And I'll grab the link, of course. Put it, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back now. So, of course, a friendly reminder to everybody, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. That'd be, just to you can help out by liking and sharing the stream to see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if you haven't already, if you can, that part we said. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, Crocodile by Nathan Danilovich. Let's see if I can. let's go grab the so we can go grab the link here. And it looks like this link is an independent link altogether from Twain Enterprises. So now we will crocodile. Kind of funny. They title this in a way that's very similar to how they say it in Pokemon. Of course, I don't think this has anything to do with Pokemon, but I could be wrong. But I guess we'll wait and see and find out here. So crocodile. So there's the link to Crocodile if you guys want to go check that out. Oh boy. And I'm just waiting for the signal thing to stop being screwy. Hopefully it's done being screwy for now. Anyway, so there's the link for that. All right, so let's get into this article here. Let me just, and again, feel free to comment and or ask questions if anything here grabs your attention. Also, if you haven't yet, please like and share the screen so we can get some more friendly people to engage. So, anyways, on to this part of the article. Crocodile by Nathan Danilovich. So, Chris Braley. Nathan, for folks who haven't heard of Crocodile yet, how would you describe the story and what makes it stand out as a comic experience? Nathan Danilovich. Crocodile is historical fiction. It takes place about 100 years ago. A small group of researchers photographers travel to South Africa to study a remote tribe only to wind up getting entangled in a life-threatening predicament involving the tribe and their crocodile god. The comic is a self-contained 24-page story within a story that readers can enjoy in one sitting. It sounds like a pretty quickie there. Doing black and white art there, I guess. All right, so Chris, you first created this comic book in 2001, and now you brought it back in a new form. What inspired you to revisit and remaster Crocodile, and how has the process changed with today's technology? Let's see. Nathan. Crocodile was originally created in 2001 and published in a very small edition, printed DIY, do-it-yourself, and handbound. The original impetus for the comic came from responding to Scott McCloud's call to create a 24-hour comic. Ultimately, it took me a few days to bring the book and to complete the book, and I was utterly exhausted as a result. At that time, the book was titled Killer Croc, quote unquote, in parentheses here, obviously not in any way related to DC Comics Batman villain, on parentheses, but if DC did get a bug up their butt about it. He would have had to change the name in some form or another, but the name he chose was a Pokemon name, I think. But anyways, 25 years later, and now it's much easier to self-publish and distribute comics online. The new technological era gave me the opportunity to essentially remaster the comic, altering some of the artwork, digitizing the lettering, and creating an updated cover, design, artwork, and of course, changing the title. Now I can print as many copies as we want, hopefully get some traction via online sales, social media, and the website. None of these online avenues were available when this book was first published back in 2001. So 24 years ago, basically. Let's go and see if anybody's said anything yet. Nope, nobody's really chimed in yet. All right. That of me, of course, putting the links up to the project here. Chris, who do you think will get most out? Who do you think will get the most out of Crocodile? Is there a particular kind of reader you had in mind when creating it? Nathan? Readers who like historical fiction, horror, and crocodiles, as well as those who appreciate black and white indie comics. Chris, your style blends a lot of influences. Can you walk us through your creative process? How your experiences and research shape your work? Um, Nathan, for quality output, um, you need quality input. I read a lot of comics, all kinds and all genres. There is a lot of great work out there, especially historically, but you need to do some research to track it all down and avoid the piles of fan fiction that's getting published on a weekly basis by the big two. I also watch quite a bit of YouTube videos about drawing and digital coloring, interviews with creators, as well as reading books about creating comics. It's amazing how much you can learn just by watching others and listening to other creators talk about their process. I also look at contemporary art, films, and read a lot of fiction. All that reading and research then somehow um, informs my work as a creator. Life experiences and travel have also been very informative to my work process. From there, intuition and personality goes a long way to developing the look and the feel of the work. Chris, since Crocodile started as a 24-hour comic, how did that fast paced origin shape your workflow? And what changes did you make in the remastered edition? Nathan, this comic was initially conceived as a 24-hour comic book in 2001. So, needless to say, I had to work fast. I started brainstorming ideas for a story, and then I remembered going to the library and grabbing a pile of books to use as reference material for imagery. In parentheses, finding images online was not an option, of course, as well as the story. Yeah, as the internet was quite not quite as sophisticated back in 2001 as it is today. So, anyways, as we continue on here, as okay, all that was quite time consuming. Once I started drawing and writing, it all came out very quickly. The challenge was not to spend too much time on the art, to avoid too much noodling, yet make it look good. Overall, I was am quite happy with how it all turned out. Thanks to Scott McCloud's challenge, I learned a lot about the process of making a comic book. The importance of working within a framework, not worrying about trying to make everything perfect. Just get it out. You can always improve it 25 years later. Crocodile was drawn and inked analog, traditional, and included ink washes. This remastered edition features digital lettering and some additional digital ink washes. At the time of creation, I had been attending the Maryland Institute College of Art and studying with comic book artist Jose Villaruba, Rubia. He taught a class emphasized co-mingling analog traditional method of working along with digital applications, mostly Photoshop. His class and his insight were a very positive experience. To this day, I really enjoy combing digital and analog methods. Thanks, Jose. Chris, what's been your biggest takeaway from self-publishing and getting your comic out there independently? Nathan, indie comics is a labor of love and the best thing that you can create whatever the bleep you want. Let's see, Chris. Are you working on any new projects or stories that fans should keep an eye out for? Nathan, without giving away too much, I am working on a comic book anthology featuring 8 different artists. The quote unquote plot follows an anthropomorphic mammal who struggles to navigating a dystopian medieval landscape with metaphysical expertise. Ugh. There's the title shot there. Chris, cover of Crocodile is really striking. Are there any special features or details in this edition that you're especially proud of? Nathan, yes, Crocodile features a wraparound cover. It is rad. It's pretty rad. The continent of Africa unfolds to become a crocodile. Okay. Chris, thanks for sharing your journey and your work with us, Nathan. Any final words for our readers? Nathan, thank you for all your support. All right, so there we go with that one. Now we got the last one here that we will get into here in a moment. The Five Footers by Chad Taylor. So I've got to go grab that link to post it. And again, a friendly reminder if you haven't already, if you guys can help. Hello. Hello. Let's see. Bork. Let's see. Mr. Udi Buzzman. Okay. What's your favorite Magi X characters? Well, which Magi are you talking? Because there's a few different titles that have, unless Magi X itself is an anime. That if that's the case, if Magi X is a title in of itself, I don't think I've actually watched it. So Oh boy. Anyways, so now getting back to, so let me go grab the link here for this one, the Five Footers from Chad Taylor. This one looks pretty interesting. And this one's an Indiegogo project. The art kind of reminds me of Daria, believe it or not. For those of you who don't remember Daria, that was a animated series that was on MTV back in the late 90s, early 2000s. All right, so let me see here. Shorter title here. So here's one from all right, so here's the link to that one if you guys want to go check that out. Guys want to go check out that particular book there. So let's get into this. I'm going to try to speed things along a little bit here. That'd be good. All right, so The Five Footers by Chad Taylor. Chris Braley, Chad. For readers just discovering your work, what's the core idea behind your comic? What makes this story unique in today's landscape of superpowered tales? Chad Taylor. In a world where magic is becoming more commonplace, 5 teens come together after the first sighting of a superhuman or modified human being to stop a former pharmaceutical CEO, Eric Mason, from collecting the gene data from a gene database, making the soldiers of the future. Chris, your story zeroes in on more grounded heroes. What drew you to this approach, and why did you decide to bring this project to life as an indie creator? Chad, from wanting to see heroes who seemed more grounded, do these heroes want to being heroes day in and day out? Okay, I think there's a little, I don't know, grammar issue there, but what other responsibilities conflict with that? Chris, you've mentioned this as a drama with young adults at the center. Who do you see connecting most with your comic, and what kind of reader did you have in mind when you wrote it? Chad, this is very much a drama for young adults, 14 to 21. Is the ideal audience? I'm sorry. For young adults, 14 to 21 is the ideal audience. People who are going through the teenage experience or know what it's like to be a young adult, and having survived that experience, seeing the other side of the coin, so to speak. And here's another black and white story, I guess. Let's see. Chris, let's talk about your creative process. How do you approach writing and developing your characters and storylines? Chad, I put character at the forefront and I put seeds in the story that reveal themselves later. I like to throw a few crib balls as opposed to curveballs, for the reader in some way. When you write, you just let the characters reveal themselves. Usually, when they do it, leads to interesting places. I notice the words are more fluid when I don't set in stone the character's dialogue. The Marvel method, if you will. All right, still going on here. All right, so Chris, can you share a bit about your collaborators and what they bring to the book? Uh, Chad, Zen has been my letterer for a while now. He's worked with a lot of other publishers. He's one of the best. Raphael has he's one of the best. Raphael has been my cover colorist for a while too, and has colored one of many other books, quote unquote, sort of Torah. Elio Quartzarts um, does great background ink, and she did the first few pages. She's great. Chris, as someone who's navigated the indie comics and crowdfunding scene, what's one key lesson you've learned from the process so far? Chad, that is best to get ahead of things. You definitely want to put yourself out there as much as possible. Chris, beyond this comic, are there any other stories or projects you're excited to share with your readers? Chad, one of the rewards is a book I've been writing called, quote, Soul or Keep, unquote. It's about a delivery truck driver named Nate that realizes he's been blacking out and sleepwalking for 2 weeks. He's under the control of his father's old friend. He has to play Soul or Keep to get his life back. It's 50 or so pages. It's a PDF of the book. Um, in in the book. Okay, it's a PDF of the book in the Indiegogo campaign. I plan to have it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble as well. Chris, for fans interested in backing your campaign, what kinds of special perks or unique features can they look forward to? Um, Chad, Solar Key PDF is the first rewards, along with Five Feathers #1 Anniversary Edition, of course. The duo trading cards are fun. Um, Instead of getting the typical one character on a trading card, you can get more for your buck. Second tier, you can get 2 of 3 duo character cards. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share with our readers, or anyone thinking about checking out your campaign? Chad, um, thanks for this. The campaign begins July 7th, which will be this Monday, I believe. Please follow us on Instagram at Uni5 5i Comics, and chadtaylor.substack.com, if you like short story comics, etc. All right, so that's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign or have a comic available for purchase online and you want to be featured in our weekly column, click here. So we can hopefully help you get more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Until next time, support indie comics. Alrighty then. So there we go with that. Hopefully you guys all found that let's see now. All right, so let me just, and apparently we do have a few Yay Uso. I'm guessing it says Yay Uso several times here. Dude. Jay Uso. You really like, Michael Hushy, you really like Jay Uso, don't you? Alright, so let's see. Just how many of these are there, dude? Alright, so I think you obviously picked. Well, I don't know if you're involved if you're trying to be in live chat or not, but anyways, let's see now. Just want to check something here. All right. Well, I guess you're not in live chat there, Michael. Let's see. Oh, it was Bork. All right. That's all right. So, anyways, so let me just go back up so to remind people of what we went over tonight here. So here's the link to Phantom Hawk Resolute on Fund My Comics. If you guys want to go check that out, there's the link there for that. All right, actually, maybe I should just leave that up for a moment. Here's a link for Crocodile. If you guys want to go check that book out. And finally, here's the link for the 5 footers. If you want to go check that one out. Alrighty then. So with that now, and with all that out of the way, I know we're gonna move on to gonna get ready to move on to the wrestling wrap up. Ready to move on to the wrestling wrap up to kind of start wrapping things up here. Let's see. So we're gonna, of course, we're gonna go first off. Go back to last night's Dynamite to basically. So last night was the 300th edition of AEW Dynamite. The opening match saw Mercedes Moné retained her TBS title over Mina Shirakawa, with Toni Storm, of course, sitting at ringside, as of course Mercedes Moné is preparing for her upcoming world title match against Toni Storm, who is the Women's World Championship, coming up next Saturday, the 12th, at All In Texas. After the match, of course, Mercedes Moné attacked Mina Shirakawa. Toni Storm basically came in to kind of fend off. And then as Toni was checking on Mina, then of course, Mercedes Moné beat down Toni Storm, basically leaving them both lying in the ring. Also going over to Toni's table and taking some of her food and drink, as it were. The second match saw in a four-way match to determine the number 2 spot in the men's casino battle royal coming up at next Saturday's All In. MJF defeated Anthony Bowens, AR Fox, and Brody King. Basically, he will be the number 2 men, so it will be MJF and Mark Briscoe starting off for the men's casino gauntlet, which you have random people keep coming in after that, people coming in randomly at random time frames until somebody is pinned to win the match. The winner, of course, will get a shot at the world title at some point afterward. Then we had a 6-man tag match between the Young Bucks of the Elite, Matthew Nicholas Jackson, teaming up Konosuke Takeshita of the Don Callis family to take on Bandito and the Paragon duo of Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. Of course, Takeshita and the Young Bucks defeated Bandito and Paragon duo. This, of course, is also a prelude to Bandito's upcoming Ring of Honor world title shot at next Friday's Supercard of Honor main eventing, which he'll be defending the title against Konosuke Takeshita. Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay defeated La Facción Ingobernables duo of Dralistico and Beast Mordos. And then the main event in a non-title match, Kazuchika Okada defeated Kota Ibushi with, of course, Lance Archer and Don Callis in the corner for Okada. After the match, they, along with RPG Vice, came out to try to beat down Ibushi, only for Kenny Omega to make his return, as, of course, Okada and Omega will be battling each other at next Saturday's All In to determine the first AEW Unified title, in which they are unifying the AEW Continental and International titles. So that's all I got for AEW news. Now, looking ahead to tonight's TNA Impact and Ring of Honor shows. On tonight's TNA Impact on Access TV, coming from the UPMC Event Center with Matthew Rainwalt and Tom Hannafin on commentary. Jake Something, who made his return last week, will be taking on Mance Warner, who will have Steph DeLander in his corner. In a women's tag team match, the Inspiration, Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay, take on Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford. Nick Nemeth will take on Trey Miguel, and their respective partners will be in their corners in the prelude up to the Slammiversary Fatal 4-Way match for the TNA World Tag Team titles, which the Nemeth will be defending against the Hardy Boys, the Rascals, and First Class. Eddie Edwards of the System, with Alicia Edwards in his corner, will be taking on Matt Cardona. And then in a match for the TNA Knockouts World Title, competing in a chain match. Masha Slamovich will be taking on Killer Kelly. Now, I don't know if this is just a match where a chain will be allowed, or if they will actually be bound together, as was the case of the traditional chain match, which they'll actually be bound together via chain, and will have to drag the other around the ring to each of the four corners. So that's all we got for for tonight's Impact. Hey, Apex. Welcome to the show. Hopefully you're having yeah. And Apex, you're number one thus far on the fan thing. So all right. Anyways, so now well, of course we're gonna talk now about what's also coming on Ring of Honor tonight. On Ring of Honor on Honor Club, as it were. On Ring of Honor Wrestling.com. RHWrestling.com, which will be coming from the from the Accesso Storeware Center in Kent, Washington, with Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni on commentary. The opening match will see Ricky Gibson and Eddie Pearl taking on the Spanish Announce Project of Angelico and Serpentico. Wheeler Yuta takes on Alan Zane. Serena Deeb will take on Becca, spelled B3, all caps B3 CCA. And then the main event in the number one contendership match for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships, which I believe the winner will get a shot at the Sons of Texas, Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes at next week's Supercard of Honor. Top Flight of the Martin brothers, Darius and Dante Martin, will be taking on the inventory of Carly Bravo and Sean Dean. So that's all we got for the wrestling wrap-up tonight. So now, with today being, of course, Thursday, July the 3rd, 2025, I'm going to take a look back at this day in Niche history. So let me just see here. 2013, 2000, 2015, and 2015. All right, then. So, first off, I'm going to head back 25 years ago today. As on this date, 25 years ago today, back in the year 2000, WCW held its Monday Nitro event from the Charleston Civic Center in Charleston, West Virginia. This was actually the go home Nitro before what would end up being the last Bash at the Beach event that WCW would hold, which would occur the following Sunday. The main event saw in a 20-man battle royal Kevin Nash outlast everybody in that in 3 minutes 41 seconds. And a few other matches, you saw Juventud Guerrera and Rey Mysterio Jr., Disco Inferno, and Conan in their corner defeating Billy Kidman and Lance Storm. You also saw Booker T defeat the Franchise in a number one contendership match for the WCW World Tag Team titles. Corporal Cajun and General Erection, the Misfits in Action faction, defeated Mark Jindrak and Sean O'Hare. And then you had Johnny the Bull defeat Terry Funk in a hardcore match. And the opening 6-man tag match of the evening saw the team known as 3 Count of Evan Courageous, Shane Helms, and Shannon Moore defeat the Jung Dragons, Jamie San, Kaz Hayashi, and Yang. So with that, now we'll get ready to move on to the next. So on this date, back in the year 2000, WCW held its Go Home Raw before their final Bash at the Beach event. Coming up, airing, coming up the following Sunday there. So now moving on to the next piece of niche history here. As we move ahead to the year 2013, which was, of course, 12 years ago today. On this date, 12 years ago today, the 5th and final issue of 47 Ronin from Dark Horse went on sale on this date 12 years ago today, back in 2013. Sold for $3.99 with 32 pages. So the 5th and final issue of 47 Ronin from Dark Horse went on sale on newsstands on this date back in 2013. 12 years ago today. So now, as we move ahead to the next piece of niche history, as we move ahead to the year 2015, on this date in the year 2015, Ben Jones Studios, of course, owned by cartoonist Ben Jones, Ben Q. Jones, not to be confused with Ben Jones, the actor who played Cooter on Dukes of Hazzard. But Ben Jones Studios Stonequackers completed its run on FXX on this date back in 2015. So 10 years ago today, Ben Jones Studios Stonequackers finished its run on FXX on this date back in 2015. And 2015 was just so nice that we're going to hit it twice. As also on this date in 2015, pull that up. Production IG's Haikyuu the movie, ending and beginning, premiered in movie theaters on this date back in, was released in theaters on this date back in 2015. So 10 years ago today, Production IG's Haikyuu the movie, ending and beginning, premiered in Japanese theaters on this date back in 2015. So with that being said, of course, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We will be back here tomorrow with more niche news. Of course, I know tomorrow is 4th of July, so now I will reiterate this tomorrow as well. Please be safe. If you are going to shoot off fireworks, be safe. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. And I hope to see everybody back here. Let me take care of this real quick. And I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.